All right, this section is one is the Promisify, which is I got the answer from the solution branch of the what is that node API promise, and it's different, right? Before it was in the master, it was without the Promisify, and this is Promisified. So they're going to be using a new promise to convert the way it's written. Of course, the result will be exactly same, but this is the different, the considerably simpler practice, right? So that's what it is. Okay, so from the top, this time required FS using, and then it's going to be wrapped with the copy.json function in file, and then in file, out of file. So if you compare these two, I'm going to a little bit lift it up. Okay, if you compare these two, they're same here, function in file, out file, in file, out file, and then they added one more out file flag. So that's going to be used for later towards end, out file flag right here. So that's why they added here. Other than that, there's no indication out file flag. So that's my best understanding for right now. So okay. So now here is the out file flag, and then the promise read file function. We probably put it like this right now for the time being. I'm just kind of comparing here. There's a const promise read file. So basically it's wrapping this first thing with a promise read file constructor. I think that's what they called. All right, so we're in the same boat. So if you folks care to explain to me, that would be great as well. And then there's a promise write file, basically creating an object, and then we're going to use this to to process these then catch. So 1 2 3 4 thens and then catch, and then one of the then is actually promise write file. So promise write file is going to be under the part of the read in file. Okay, cool. So okay, and then this is gonna be promise read file is gonna be executed here. Basically, this is function. This is invoking the function. This is the parameter. This is argument. This is the parameter, which is file name, and option is a parameter, and then file name it's called in file here, and then option is encoding UTIF. So file name option in file encoding UTF-8. That's how I understand. And then within that, so this is the entire. It's wrapping the entire thing basically, right? So entire thing. Let me just draw it a little bit. Gonna take my time a little bit. Wrapping the entire thing. Cool. Okay. All right. So it's wrapping entire thing, and then promise read files are going to be invoked here, and then you write the function here to invoke at the promise write file here. So that's what's happening. Cool. So let's look at the promise. How do you turn into promise? Basically, you're looking at the original, and then there's a encoding UTF. This is one. In file is one argument, and then encoding UTF is 8. So let's see here, promise, file name, in case it's in file, options is encoding, and return new promise. So every time you do for the new promise, you return it. So return new promise, resolve, and reject. As you can see, next one too, return new promise, resolve, reject. So every time you do new promise, you just do resolve and reject, resolve and reject. And then if error, resolve. I don't know why this is different. File data versus write data. Those are just parameters, so it could be any name, but happen to be different, I guess. File data is coming in data, and the write data is output data, right? So promise, solve, and then fs read file, because we have to use this to be able to read. Fs is the library that's using. File name, options, and then the third argument is a function, right? Whole thing is function. File data, if, resolve. So this is whole thing. This is the third argument. Third arguments. Again, this is second argument, resolve, reject. Oh no, file write, fs write file, file name, first argument, second argument, third argument, and then fourth argument is the function here. So this is, they call it callback, right? Every time you put a function inside another function is callback, right? So there's a multiple callbacks in here. Yeah, so inside here there's a callback, and the inside there's a callback. So there's a little like level of different callbacks listed. Okay, and after that, so error happens and then resolve. So unlike here, there's a 1, 2, 3 error. We're just gonna go error, resolve, and then later we're just gonna use a catch only to indicate the error only once. So I think that's the one benefit of doing the promise file. I mean, beside other benefits. But here, so here you go. Okay, so so all we need to just kind of count the the function, and then new promise with the resolve and reject, and then fs read file. How many parameters is there? 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 4, and then you pass the different data, and then once you executing this these two functions here, promise read file, we're invoking it in file, in code, then JSON parse. Okay, so if you look at the original, JSON parse data. So JSON parse, this is invoking the function. This is invoking the function by then. And then next, what it is? Stringify. Yeah, so we do stringify here, and the stringify here. And then POJOs go in. So because we are passing the POJO, we're putting it one of the parameter, right? POJO right here. So POJO. I'm just guessing JSON parse automatically represents POJO, because I just don't see where we define the POJO here. So that's a little bit of a mystery for me, but yeah. And then after that, then JSON promise write. So now JSON stringify POJO null2, and JSON promise write our file, which is okay. I need to do this. Promise write file, fs write file, out file happen to be same name, JSON, flag, w out file flag, outbound flag. Errors we don't take care of it because errors are just going to be in the end of the catch, so it's just going to be taken care of. Last thing, console.log. It's going to be the last then console.log. So it's basically saying we do read file, then you do JSON parse. After that, you stringify it. After that, write it. After that, after that, you console it. And if that doesn't all work anytime, just catch the error, which is 1, 2, 3 versus this just takes care of only one here. All right, so hopefully this kind of made sense. I know I was kind of outside of the scope, but hopefully you'll be able to follow from your code as well. And if there's anything that you guys could help me to understand this as well, just please let me know. And yep.